What is up, my eggsoup gamers? We're back here with another patch review. This one's not going to be as long as the previous one. You can see it's a pretty big patch, but the actual balance section is not too bad here. This change we're going to get to at the end is kind of absurd. They're nerfing Scythe, including one of the funniest balance changes I've ever seen. It's an accident. I can't believe they haven't fixed it. First up, though, we have the axe. And axe is very simple. It's just this deals less damage now, and this deals less damage now. So this Sidelight to Nair combo is now not going to be as deadly. If we take a look at what exactly they're saying, we're decreasing the damage of Axe Sidelight and Axe Nair to rein in the Axe's rate of damage, especially in teams where Nair often leads to follow-ups from a teammate. So overall, this is 3 less damage on the combo. Axe is fine. This is a tiny nerf, relatively. I mean, we can see some of these other changes are bigger for sure. I don't think this is going to affect much. 3 damage on a weapon that already does a lot of damage. Overall, not bad at all. So Axe is fine. Taros is mostly fine. We can see Hammer also got nerfs as well. Not that many. Let's move on to Chakram. I think this is a lot more interesting. So Chakram, if you don't know, has been in a pretty bad state. It got nerfed extremely heavily with its split version, which if you don't know the exact verbiage here, let me switch over to Ransom on the Chakram. You can see like there's the fused weapon set where this Chakram is like an individual hit. You split it in 2 and then you do multi-hits, and those were really, really good. I mean, it was the best weapon in the game bar none. Then it got hit by a lot of nerfs. So in order to compensate, Brawlhalla is saying, okay, maybe we need to buff up this other version a little bit more, because it seems like when it's split and it's good, it's really oppressive, and it's never really been good fused, at least in the general consensus of the community. So let's see what they're doing. The Chakram fused Endlight now has increased force, so it's going to knock out a little bit earlier. And we also have increased the damage and force of the neutral air, the fused neutral air. So this is interesting. Both of these got buffed. We can see 52 fixed 38 variable to 54 fixed 41 variable. What does that mean? It's always going to send a little bit further, and at high HPs, it's going to knock out a little bit earlier. This move still never knocks out. This Endlight, this is what they're talking about. I guess it's supposed to be more of a knockout tool because it's on the fused version. It's slower, it's harder hitting. I feel like this probably still needs more of a buff. This thing literally never KOs. I mean, this is Queen Nai, I guess, but it is small Brawlhaven. 184, not killing. I'm 199. Like, what are we talking about here? Finally, that's gonna do it there. Neutral air, very much the same deal here. It's going to deal 2 more damage, which I think is good. I think the fused should deal more damage, especially because split is all about the individual hit, or the combo hits, excuse me. And this fused is all about the individual hits. They're also increasing the force of this fused neutral air from 5540 to 5542, so it's also going to KO slightly earlier. This has the same exact issue. This move like never KOs. So I don't know. I have clips. I've been using fused Chakram a lot in 2s, and this move, like the opponent's at 190 and it's not KOing. So I feel like if they are looking to increase the KO power, maybe it needs a little bit more, because you can see right here, it's taken a while. Now granted, I think it's less of an issue with this Nair, because the Nair itself is a pretty good move, but these are some compensatory buffs for Chakram because it got nerfed so hard. I think the weapon is in a very weird state. I think down air on fuse, I'm going to talk about this in the main channel video, but this move is extremely overtuned and the rest of the kit is pretty bad. So we gotta talk about that. I mean, this recovery is a nightmare in itself. Like, look at this. You just move backward a little bit and it drops completely. So anyway, that's about it for those 2 moves. Now they're saying the Chakram split neutral air now has greater stun, so hopefully it's a little bit more reliable. This is one of the biggest nerfed moves the previous time that Chakram got nerfed, so they're increasing the stun from 16 to 12 to 20 to 16. 4 frames of stun. It still doesn't really lead into things properly. So like this Nair into recovery is often jumpable. The Nair into side air, I believe, is also often jumpable. So this just shows you the fact that this is getting a buff of a lot of stun to make sure it can combo, and it still doesn't fully combo. The weapon was really gutted, you could say. So these are all buffs to hopefully bring it back to a more balanced state. I don't know if it's really gonna do it. You can tell by my tone, I feel like fused Chakram probably needs a bit more. And then this split neutral air, I'm not entirely sure. This is probably fine. The patch has been out for a couple weeks, and it doesn't seem like Chakram has really been destroying any kind of meta, especially with this split version, so it seems okay. Seems okay. Alright, moving on to Hammer now. And by the way, I just do want to mention, this channel is called eggsoup. I was thinking about maybe changing it. I'm not sure. Let me know if you would like that name to be changed. Leave any suggestions in the comments. I was thinking that soup egg is just very simple, straightforward, straight to the point. So let me know. I'm not sure. Hammer. We have decreased the damage of Hammer Downlight to decrease the weapon's rate of damage and combo reward. So Downlight is the main combo tool. They're saying, we're going to decrease that damage so it's not as threatening. Let's see if that's effective. Hammer Side Air now has less force, reducing the stage control gained at early health ranges, the knockout potential at late health ranges, and the overall reward from this weapon's most common combo. So this patch is nerfing Downlight Sair. That's what they're doing, nerfing Downlight and then nerfing Sair. What did they actually do though? Downlight deals 2 less damage. Okay, and then decrease force from 60-55, to, oh sorry, this is like a hellscape to read. 60 to 55 fixed, 45 to 44 variable, to 58-52 fixed, 44-42 variable. That's a lot of words. Basically, it's what they said here. Early health, it's not gonna knock as far. So let's say you're in the yellow, you get Downlight Saired, you're not gonna be knocked off stage from that necessarily. In the same position that you were previously. So they're saying, okay, we want people to be able to have more counterplay, I guess, against the Hammer. And then at late HP, it's gonna knock out slightly later. Now these two in combo, like 2 less damage and knockout slightly later, probably means in total it'll take 1 extra hit to knock out, maybe, but like, you know, like what are we talking about here? It's totally fine. Teros is still the top of the meta this patch. The buffs they gave to Hammer previously, oh my god, my keyboard is like sticky, and by that I mean I can't Downlight Sair, so maybe there's an issue that I'm having. Maybe Hammer's bad. No, the buffs that it gave to all the damage on 4 different moves, like nerfing Downlight by 2 damage is not a big deal at all, especially when like all of these are dealing as much as a full combo on Chakram, for example, the split Chakram. So Hammer's totally fine. Teros is probably #1 in the game still. Not probably. I think that's pretty solid right there. Orb. The damage of Orb's Sidelight has been decreased to reduce the rate of damage on Orb's versatile combos. We have also slightly increased the risk of the Orb Downlight to better fit its high mobility and general utility. These 2 changes actually seem pretty good, decreasing damage on Sidelight by 2. I think Orb Sidelight Sair combo can be pretty oppressive, pretty frustrating to fight against because it's like a cutscene, you're just stuck in there. So the fact that it deals slightly less damage makes it slightly less frustrating. That's fine. That's totally fine. Orb Downlight increased total recover time on miss from 2 fixed 18 variable to 3 fixed 18 variable. You're stuck when you use this move for 1/60th of a second longer. That's what that means. It's fine. Orb Downlight is fine. I think this move is actually very underrated. It's pretty good at catching opponents falling down from the air. It has a good amount of priority. You can actually true combo it as long as you knock on the ground to get knockouts from it. So that's totally fine. If you're not an Orb player, you will literally never notice this change. So that's fine, I guess. That's totally fine. Now we're getting into the meat of things. Scythe. Okay. Alright, Scythe has seen some nerfs. We have decreased the stun of Scythe Neutralite to provide a wider opportunity to escape follow-up attacks. I couldn't speak there. The hit window of Scythe Neutral Air has been reduced, the recover time on miss has been increased, and the Scythe Down Air has received an increase to its time to hit, and a similar shift from hit window to recovery time on miss to provide wider opportunities to escape, basically. Okay, a lot of words here. Let's break this down one by one. Scythe Neutralite. Decrease stun from 21 to 17 to a range of 19 to 15. If you're curious why there's always ranges in these numbers, it just depends. Like, if you hit a move early, then it's going to deal a certain amount of stun. This goes for a lot of different attacks in the game. And if you hit a move later, who has Scythe in this game, by the way? Volkov. Where's Volkov? There's Volkov. So let's say you hit this Scythe Neutralite in the very beginning, it's going to have a certain amount of stun. If you hit at the very end, it's going to have less stun. And the reason for that is if you hit late, you're just recovering faster, so they don't want to give like accidental true combos, if that makes sense. It's just mathematics there. If that doesn't make sense, you don't really need to worry about it, I would say. Basically, they're just reducing the stun by 2, so you have slightly more, I guess, time to jump out, slightly more time to counterattack, but if you don't have a dodge, you're still kind of screwed. So yeah, I guess what this really nerfs is Neutralite into recovery. You have more time to fast fall out of that or jump out of that depending on the positioning. So that's going to be less effective for sure. But things like Neutralite into Nair, still kind of fine. All those types of follow-ups, you're still good. So you don't need to really worry about that. Scythe Neutral Air, decreased hit window from 5 to 4. Increased total recovery time on miss from 9 fixed 20 variable to 11 fixed 20 variable. So this, the move is active, so the actual time it can hit you, the hitbox, is out for 1/60th of a second shorter, which doesn't sound like a huge deal, but 5 to 4, right? That's a significant decrease right there. I don't actually know the true math behind it, but it just means it's slightly less active. That's all. That's all. So this hitbox is not going to be out as long. Don't think that really matters, because this move is not something that you fall into for it being super active all the time, like this down sig, for example. This is just a quick hit. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. The recovery time is decent. I mean, that's something that if you play Scythe, you're probably going to notice you're stuck for just a little bit longer. It's slightly more punishable. It's still fine. Scythe Nair is still insanely good move. Overall, these nerfs so far do not seem big at all. Scythe Down Air, increased time to hit from 12 to 13, decreased hit window from 5 to 4, increased total recovery time on miss from 4 fixed 24 variable to 5 fixed 24 variable. Okay, very similar changes here. It's going to take slightly longer to come out, so one more frame there, 1/60th of a second. Again, if you play Scythe, you might notice it. If you don't play Scythe, you'll never notice it. Decreased hit window from 5 to 4, it's the same. It's not going to be as active for as long, and I would say that matters more for down air, because you know all these times where you get hit by down air and it's like, it feels like it shouldn't hit. That's going to reduce it ever so slightly, like right there maybe is an example, or maybe I just missed, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's going to be active for just a tiny bit shorter, 1 frame shorter. It's also going to take 1 frame longer to come out, yada yada yada. It's also going to have 1 more frame of recovery time, so just slightly harder to punish. Overall, these changes, it doesn't really seem to attack the things that at high level people were complaining about, but it does, I guess, address what people are complaining about at lower level, which is like, this attack isn't punishable, this attack is too safe, it's too good, this is too oppressive, the Neutralite. So I think this is definitely a patch aimed not at like pro level play, but at more mid level play. So that's probably good, because Scythe is very dominant in that area. The best part about this patch, though, is that they put game improvements in the Scythe nerf. They said Scythe is so oppressive, it's such a dominant force in our game that when we nerf it, it's a game improvement. And, I mean, this is a typo. This is a typo, right? Like, obviously it's a typo, because in patch notes they usually have a section that's called game improvements. It's funny, they might actually not have one in here, but usually there's something like this that says like game improvements, whatever. This patch has been out for a few weeks. This has not been deleted. This is still in here. You can go to the website today. This is still in here. So that's pretty funny. That got a good cackle out of me. Especially the fact that it hasn't been updated. I mean, they definitely know. People have talked about this. Anyway. Sword, Neutralite, Sidelight, and Downlight have received decreases to their recovery time on miss to bring their total duration and risk closer in line with similar attacks. So if you don't know, the patch where everyone's complaining about Greatsword, they're saying, oh my god, Greatsword got so nerfed, Greatsword is dead, Greatsword is dead. The weapon that actually got hit the hardest that patch was Sword. Sword got like the same nerfs as Greatsword, but even more significant for a couple of them, a couple of key attacks on Sword, so they're bringing that back. Sword Neutralite, decreased total recovery time on miss from 8 fixed 15 to 6 fixed 15. So this is the opposite changes of Scythe. This is like increased recovery time, which is the amount of lag that you're stuck after you use the move, and this is bringing it back. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong here, the exact number isn't really that important, but when Sword got nerfed, it got like 5 more frames of lag, which is insane. That's such a huge change. And then this is giving it 2 less frames of lag. So in total, over the past few months, this has been nerfed by 3 frames of lag. So it's basically saying like it's gonna feel stickier, it's gonna feel a little stickier. it felt a lot stickier, and now it's going to be slightly less. So overall net, it's still a decrease. Like sword is still nerfed on the year 2025. Sword's still nerfed, but now it's not as bad as it was before. The same change for sidelight, decrease from 9 to 7, so 2 less frames of lag there. And then downlight 10 to 8, 2 less frames of lag there, and another typo. Yeah, so these are all changes to make sword not feel as bad when you're whiffing these moves. Overall, I would say it's still nerfed. Like, these changes used to be insane. If we're talking 2020 era, 2019 era, a 3-frame change on recovery time is, like, that was pretty big, because everything was 1 point. It was like 1 point of damage nerf, 1 frame of lag nerf, 1 frame of startup nerf, which, again, 1 frame is equal to 1/60th of a second in this game. So, these are still pretty significant changes. 2025 sword is not nearly as good as it was in the end of 2024. It won Worlds, it got nerfed, that happens, but at least it's in a better place now, because sword was pretty terrible recently. Alright, getting into the legends now, and these are really straightforward. I don't know if I'm going to show these in-game, because these are just very straightforward, except for this guy. I don't know, we're going to get to you. Diana, Cassidy, let's see, Cassidy first. Cassidy downhammer decreased time to hit after the charge from 17 to 15. Targets would often move out of range before it's activated, so we've reduced the time to hit after release for more reliable use against highly movable opponents. Actually, I will show this off because this is a little bit complicated. The way that signatures work is they have a certain amount of time to start when you just press the button, and then a certain amount after you charge. So for example, if you don't charge the move at all, it's just going to be those numbers added together. Very, very simple. But if you charge it, hold, and then release, that's going to be a different amount of time. So what they're doing to this move is shortening how long it takes to come out when you're holding it and then release. Now keep in mind that when you just tap it, it's still the same animation. So overall, no matter what, it's going to come out a little bit faster, if I'm not mistaken about this patch note. But especially you're going to notice this if you're holding and then releasing. Now the reason why this is relevant, excuse me, is because certain moves are really quick right when you release them, and some of them are not. So I think the best example I can give here is like Tezga, because Tezga side sig on the gauntlets is a very clear example of this. You press the button. Oh, that's not the right move. It takes a little bit to come out. You can tell, right? Oh my god, wait, well, I'm just like terrible at holding side. It takes a little bit to come out, but if you hold it and then release, it's instant. So this is a really good example if you're curious about what this mechanic I'm talking about is. This is like, yeah, you just play around with this and then you can tell. Because this takes a while, this you hold, and then you release and it's instant. Anyway, what they're doing is making this instant release slightly faster, which overall makes the move faster in general, but again, it's more noticeable when you're holding it. That's all. Not a big buff, if you can't tell. It's not a big buff, but it's fine. This move probably needed it. Diana. Also, it's funny, like the last video on this channel is the worst SIGs per legend. This was the one I picked for Cassidy. This is the one I picked for Diana. This is the one I picked for Magyar. I didn't pick this one for Teros. This is a separate thing because this is a nerf. And then this is the one I picked for Zuva. So they buffed like everything that I mentioned there. That's kind of sick. All right, anyway, Diana, down blasters, increased force. So it's just going to KO slightly earlier. The blaster's down sig is. Magyar hammer end sig, increasing force, so it's going to KO earlier, increasing damage, so it's going to deal more damage and also KO a little bit earlier. Because keep in mind, higher damage just means you get knocked out earlier. These are all small buffs, but I would say needed, definitely needed. This one might be a little bit scary if you're off stage now. Teros hammer side sig, decreased force from 7557 to 7554. Jesus Christ, that was disgusting. And increased minimum charge time from 10 to 12. So again, this is one of these signature charge time changes, but they're basically saying it's going to KO a little bit later, and it's going to take a little bit longer to start up. I don't know if y'all have played against Teros since the patch, but I'm guessing you have. I mean, you can't really even notice it that much. If you're not a Teros player, I don't think you'll notice when it KOs, or it not KOing in a situation that it probably would earlier. This move still KOs insanely early. It's still kind of hard to counter the startup of it, and you can tell Teros is fine. Again, Teros got nerfs to both of his weapons and one of his SIGs this patch, and he's still #1 in the game. That should just tell you a lot, because these nerfs were not very big. Let's just say that. I mean, look at that. We're seeing the same thing, right? This is post-nerf. This has been nerfed. Anyway, let's move on to King Zuva, a character I actually really like. I'm scared now, though. We have increased the force of King Zuva's neutral battle boots, decreased the recovery time, increased the force of Boots side sig, decreased the recovery time of Boots down sig. Let's break this down one by one. So King Zuva's Boots end sig, this end sig and the side sig, that's not all of his Boots moves. End sig and side sig have a sweet and sour spot hitbox. If you don't know what that means, basically, let me switch over to King Zuva here. Hopefully it's on the Z's. Yes, it is in the Z's in game. If you hit early in the move, it's going to have a certain amount of force. You can see it also is dealing 25 damage right there. If you hit late in the move, it's going to deal 20 damage and have a lot less force. So when they're changing things about this move, they're either changing one of these or both of these. So just keep that in mind. So that's the strong hit. The other one is the weak hit. So they're increasing the force of the strong hit by 3 variable force, which is kind of a nebulous number, but it's going to KO earlier, and increase the force of the weak hit by 4 variable force. They've also decreased the recovery time from 32 to 28. That's pretty significant. That means you're going to be able to jump out of this a lot quicker now, and it's also going to have a much greater reward. It's going to KO earlier, which I think this move probably needed. It's a very odd one. These specific changes are pretty big. The fact that it's buffing both modes and the fact that you can recover out of it quicker. I think this move is very rarely used. King Zuva, already not a very popular character. Boots Ensig, not a very popular move. So if someone is using this, odds that you're able to punish it, that you know the timing, pretty low. Pretty low. All right, let's talk about these other changes now. Zuva Side Sig, increased force of the strong hit and increased force of the weak hit. Now both of these are going to be pretty big here. It's 2 only on the strong hit. This move already KO'd early, and the weak hit is 3. Again, nebulous numbers. You don't really have to worry about it too much. All you need to know is that when you're up close, this move hits like a truck. Okay, it's definitely terrifying. This character is I would say maybe the most underrated in the game now. The torch has been passed, and then if you hit it from afar, it's not going to hit like a truck, but it is going to KO earlier than it did before. So you're not like punished as much for not getting the sweet spot. This mechanic, by the way, I'm a big fan of. I like that it makes Zuva feel unique and feel like, you know, you have to be aware of where you're hitting. You can see right there that didn't KO because it was the weak hit, but if I was up close, they would have just gotten launched. So pretty big changes here, I would say, to Zuva, and his down battle boots. What the hell? Okay, that's 3 less frames of recovery time. So this move right here is harder to punish. So overall, Zuva mains are eating good this patch, all like 3 of you, and I'm sure you're pretty happy about these changes. I missed that right there, but yeah. There we go. Let me know the change that you want to see to the channel. That's a quick recap on the patch, and by quick I mean it's 20 minutes long. This is what happens when I don't get edited down. Goodbye.